grand final.
The Suns through to the big dance for the very first time, but can Werribee spoil the party? Hello and welcome to the Ressies Report. I'm Leo Puglisi. We have the latest from the weekend in VFL, SANFL and WAFL for you. Make sure, of course, you've subscribed to 6 News to watch more 6 News sport reporting, live coverage, breaking news and other programs. Starting off with the VFL preliminary finals, the Werribee Tigers will play the Gold Coast Suns next week at Icon Park in Melbourne. It's been locked in Melbourne. It is the Suns' first ever grand final, never achieved it at a reserves level, never in the old NEFL competition, obviously never at a seniors level as well. Box Hill did put in a fight though. They lost to the Suns by 64 points earlier in the season. The margin this time only 15, but they did allow the Suns to get 3 quick goals early, which may have cost them in the end. Marbiot Chol, he had a game-high 11 marks with 5 goals to his name. Joint Frosty Miller medalist Chris Burgess had 3. The other Joint Frosty Miller medalist, Brody McLaughlin, he was actually a late out, so there was some concerns to the Suns' forward line about that, but obviously they did end up getting the win. The earlier prelim, that saw Werribee defeat the Brisbane Lions in Werribee by 30 points. Spirited home crowd there, as you can imagine. The Tigers led the entire game. Kai Declis, former Melbourne mid-season draft recruit, he had 33 disposals, while Hudson Garoni kicked 4 goals. Brisbane, of course, dominant all year. Had a couple losses towards the end of the season, though, and that stopped them finishing second, as many thought they ended up would. They ended up finishing 4th. Couple of AFL listed players for the Lions, of course. Among those, veteran Daniel Rich, who announced his retirement from the game earlier this month. That looked to be his final game for the Lions. He's not been in the senior side recently. He stood down from selection in the AFL. You might remember back in June, his last AFL game was against Hawthorn in round 15. Michael Barlow, of course, done a fantastic job coaching Werribee this year. They were 10th last season and 2nd this season, only behind Gold Coast on percentage. And of course, Werribee coming off a couple of years as a standalone side. They were with North for quite some time, and that ended in 2018. So Werribee's done really well in comparison to some of those other struggling standalones like Coburg and Preston. Here's a bit of what Michael Barlow said after the game.
I think it was an enthralling contest. I think it would have been great to watch as a neutral, and I hope from our point of view as a Werribee supporter base, they can just be proud of what the effort was. We could have lost today and lost no admirers by the way we competed, went to the end. If talent had have got us in the end, so be it.
And now look at this. These are the Gold Coast Werribee matchup, incredibly even. Both clubs, 16 wins, 2 losses for the season. Again, Gold Coast were only ahead on percentage. Their 2 losses, the Suns, after the siren against somehow Essendon, and a 2-point loss to Werribee. So that might end up proving a really, really close grand final. I'm sure a lot of Victoria very happy to cheer on the Tigers, and of course only one Queensland team winning, as we mentioned, means the grand final does indeed stay in Victoria. Over to the SANFL now, not a particularly high scoring prelim. Sturt running out 17-point winners over Adelaide's reserve sides. Patrick Parnell, Jackson Haley had 21 and 20 disposals respectively. Matthew Wright, 3 majors. The Double Blues led almost the entire game. That's setting up a Glenelg Sturt grand final. Last time that happened was in 74. And look, another close game could be what we're in store for. Just a single match separated the two at the end of the home and away season. And of course, Glenelg previously in the grand final back in 2021. They won back in 2019, and they'll probably be very happy to try and get another one here. But Sturt put in a strong performance against, of course, Adelaide's reserve sides, combined with a few AFL listed players playing against them as well.
Terrific season, comes in, kicks at goal. Will it make the distance? It's travelling, it's gone all the way!
The WAFL also had their prelim. Peel Thunder, 24-point winners over Subiaco. That featured 11 Fremantle listed players, 26 disposals for Will Brodie, 21 plus 10 marks for Carl Warner, and another 21 for Corey Wagner. They're now set to take on the minor premiers, East Fremantle at Optus Stadium. Also on Sunday, Peel went down by 5 points against East Freo back in the semi-final. Now, it'll be Peel's 3rd ever grand final. They've only ever played in 2 before. They won both back in 2016 and 2017. On the other hand, the Sharks have 29 premierships to their name, but their last was in 1998, runners-up in 2000, and then the most recent grand final, which was a loss back in 2012. That is the Ressies Report for this week. Of course, make sure you subscribe to 6 News to watch more 6 News sport reporting, live coverage, breaking news, and all our other programs. The VFL, SANFL and WAFL grand finals coming up this Sunday.